Hello and welcome to I Still Call It a Lariat. We are a pro wrestling podcast. My name is Steve Zaff. I am the host. With me today, as always, my hetero life mate, my PIC, my partner in crime, Mr. Showtime, Michael Wright. How are you doing today, sir?
You know me, Steven. I'm living the dream.
We are absent one of our usual cohorts. Unfortunately, Scarps Esquire is at home. I think he actually has foot aids, but we're not sure just yet. So,
It's mad cow.
mad cow disease, obviously, possibly malaria. I don't know. We'll wait to hear when he gets his penicillin. Um, Today we have a lot to talk about. A lot of big news going around the wrestling world. Before we get to that, though, I do want to give some shout outs to some friends of the show, new friends of the show. If anyone is looking for championship replica belts, Urfran Championship Belts has been a follower of the show now for a few weeks. I told him I would give him a shout out. He's been very helpful in everything that we do. I just want to say thank you. I like to show a little bit of gratitude to the people who help us out. If you're in the Orlando, Florida area and you would like a tattoo on Instagram, tattoos.byru, please go check her out. Very good friend, again, friend to the show. And of course, on the actual wrestling side of things, I knew him first as Diecast Josh Daniels. Josh Daniels is by no means anything other than a wrestler's wrestler. If you enjoy matches done by guys like Dynamite Kid and I'm speaking purely on his work ethic, Chris Benoit, Josh Daniels is cut from that cloth. So I really want to give them shout outs as they were very, very helpful these past couple of weeks in getting us into other areas of the world. And that's, again, I just want to give them a little bit of a shout out as they have been very helpful. To get
Steven,
right in,
links in the description below.
I will definitely have links in the description below for at least two of them. Josh Daniels is extremely easy to find. He's just Josh Daniels on Instagram and Twitter. Irfan and Tattoos by Rue. I will make sure that I get some links in there for you. Right into the show, though. First things first, Hall of Fame. We know I love the Hall of Fame. New inductee is going to be Thunderbolt Patterson. Thunderbolt Patterson, definitely a legend. He was a black superstar in a time when black superstars were definitely not as prominent. One of the key things that he did in the world was he was trying to really organize a wrestlers union. He was probably the first one to really try to organize a wrestlers union. He has influences on many, many people. Probably the biggest name is Dusty Rhodes, of course, but he's had huge feuds with guys like Bruiser Brody and things like that. That type. He was around that area, the early to late 70s. I'm not going to lie, I'm not as familiar with Thunderbolt Patterson's work as I'd like to be. I definitely need to go back and check some of his stuff out if he has that much influence on guys like Dusty and Bruiser and stuff like that. That is definitely someone that I would like to check out. And this is one of the things I like about the Hall of Fame is if I'm not familiar with someone's work and they're bringing them in, it gives me a good enough reason to check them out. What about you, Showtime?
Yeah, that's 100% right. You know how much of a fan I am of some of the older wrestling. When they bring these names to us that I'm not as familiar with, like I'm sure that they're deserving. I'm sure that he has done more for the business than I can imagine. I trust what the WWE Hall of Fame brings to the fans. So in this situation, I'm actually going to go back after this show, check out some of the stuff that he has done in the past, and congratulations. I think it's very much deserved.
From us to you, Thunderbolt Patterson, congratulations. Now that we've talked about the past, let's talk about the present. TNA Wrestling. Nick Namath is set to challenge for the TNA World Heavyweight title and also set to challenge for the vacant AAA Mega Championship against Alberto El Patron, Alberto Del Rio, whichever name you want to know him by. So Nick Namath, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, will be challenging for two world championships at this point. I know Showtime, we talked about this a little bit beforehand. I think this is a big deal.
Yeah, I love this. So Nick Namath is really going out there and proving what he's worth. Essentially, what he's doing, he's building his own triple crown here. So when you go from the TNA World Title, the AAA Mega Championship, both of them are top tier titles, and he already has the New Japan Global Championship, which is their number 2. He's going to be a serious champion in 3 different countries, 3 of the biggest countries where wrestling has an impact that anyone really comes from. I know a lot of people in the US don't pay that much attention to Mexican wrestling until those superstars come here, and they're the ones that break the mold when they get here. So I really love the way he's kind of he's been pushed aside. I don't love that he's been pushed to the side, but I love the way that kind of being pushed down to the TNA, he's going out there and he's making the most of it. He's going to make a big impact. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see him either use this to help elevate TNA or use this to boomerang back to one of the other factions and get the respect that he deserves. Either way, I think that all of us win.
I totally agree with what you just said. I truly believe that this might be his version. I think he's going to do with this what AEW was trying to do with Eddie Kingston with the Continental Crown. I think this is the true triple. This would be more of a true Triple Crown championship where you're looking at literally 3 different titles from 3 different promotions who are on different parts of the world. You're looking at like you said, he already has the global championship. I don't I kind of don't see him not winning the TNA world title. You need that name. He's the name that might elevate you to a different level. We keep talking about how TNA is kind of on the cusp of doing something very good. And this Nick Namath getting that title, the former Dolph Ziggler getting the title, especially he's now also one of the co-hosts for the Busted Open radio show for pro wrestling, which is the biggest pro wrestling MMA series. It's actually the most popular show on Sirius XM right now. It's he has the chance to kind of take the world by storm again. He was already so popular a couple years ago, and he's getting a chance to really prove that he still has a thirst for this business, and I'm excited for that. Anytime someone wants to prove that they're better off than what we thought they were, I'm really excited for something like that.
Yeah, you always have when you're with the major promotions. No matter how skilled you are, sometimes there's the perfect storm doesn't work for you to be the guy. I feel like when he was Dolph Ziggler in WWE, that was always the case. There was always something holding him back. He was always this close. I actually would have expected, like, for a while there, I thought he was going to be stuck in that Scott Hall, that Mr. Perfect, that that Rick Rude kind of grouping of people who never kind of made the jump to being a world champion of one of these major factions. I mean, look at it now. I don't want to take anything away from like the AWA championships that some of these gentlemen have won, but at the end of the day, he finally did win that championship, but really didn't do something where he's remembered as one of the top tier during the time he was there. He's not an Orton. He's not a Cena, and this can kind of rewrite history for him a bit, see how big of an impact he does here, and then see where it leads to him going next, or what he does with the power that he's collecting with all these belts.
Absolutely. That I like I said, I think we're both very excited about this. I know that this is going to be an interesting scene to see what they do. Again, wrestling is just getting interesting again. I think this year around this time of year, no matter what, WrestleMania just automatically sparks some cool stuff. But this is stuff outside of that world of WWE that let's watch it. I can't wait to see this stuff. To
Can we get him
go,
to just get Anthem to spend a little bit of money to bring anyone else in, please?
let's hope. I like I said, maybe this is what it's going to take. I've heard a couple other names getting thrown around to go over there as well. One of them, another New Japan champion. My boy Matt Riddle is talking about maybe making a TNA debut. I know that that has been one of the talks that he has had the most amount of interest in because they'll give him a little bit of creative freedom. So who knows? Let's see. You get 1 or 2 more names in there, all of a sudden they're challenging for at least the number 2 spot again.
Yeah, we can all hope.
And to move on to the number 2 spot, the biggest news coming out of AEW this week. Mercedes Moné, the former Sasha Banks, debuts.
CEO, CEO.
Yep, still basically the same gimmick. I'm saying it now. Sasha
I knew
Banks,
I knew to chant that because her music told me.
exactly. Let's see. Sasha Banks. I'm sorry, Mercedes Moné. I guess Carlton and Uncle Phil disowned her. Anyone who doesn't get that joke, you might be too young to listen to this show. Mercedes Moné is a very, very talented female wrestler. I'm going to say I did not I need to say this properly. I'm sorry. I enjoyed her debut in the sense that I think she debuted fine, and I think the show was fine around how she debuted. I think AEW could have done more to drum up interest in her debut and drum up business because of her debut. They wanted it so badly to seem like a fake surprise that they didn't use her in the market outside of just, oh, well, we're going to call it big business and we're going to do this and we're going to have innuendo about that she is debuting instead of saying Mercedes Moné is signed. We're signing her. Have her go on radio tours, have her go on local television, have her build up the building and build up your ratings. It seemed like it was a little flat with what they could have done with it.
Yeah, if you look back, so first of all, I thought her debut was great. She came out, fans loved her. That place was hot for her. They were really really hot for her. I don't think she did anything wrong. I think she did everything the right way. She loved the crowd. I prefer her a little bit more of a heel than a face, but she's going to go the face route and see where that takes her for now. I'm with you. She's been signed for 2 months, right? So
Pretty
now
much.
being signed for 2 months, there has been no leaking of her coming out. There's no, Y2J countdown. There is no seeding the fact that something big is going to happen, except for catch these subtle hints that we're sending you. And then the expectations for this to give the huge ratings boost that they wanted to see here wasn't realistic. You can't put that on one person when you don't tell everybody they're going to be here. Have her come out first. And then you actually saw, if you look back at the ratings, I think you saw a bit of a dip after she left or like halfway through the show because no one knew she was going to come back at the end of the show. You kind of have to give the people a reason to be here. And I thought this overall card, there's some highlights in this card, but it felt backwards. Like literally the card was backwards. We started with the world title and ended with what everyone knew was kind of a mid card talent. Now she's going to be the top paid female wrestler out there these days, and that's a big deal. And like I love what they're trying to do for women's wrestling in actually both major companies. But at the end of the day, you can't expect everyone just to tune in because you're on the inside of this joke, and her going to be able to boost this. Maybe when you actually put her in a match where it's advertised and people are excited to see it, that's where you'll see some of this rating boost. But it was a little unfair in my opinion. You kind of, not that they set her up to fail, because they definitely set her up to succeed, but AEW is just, they're doing some things backwards and I'm just surprised about. Like I said, the card itself felt backwards. I looked at the show poster before I watched the show. And then when the world title match came on first, I was like, did I tune in late?
Well, and we've talked about this kind of even going into us doing this show, us doing our show here. The I still call it a Lariat. A lot of things that we need to explain sometimes. We talk about that you have to explain it to people who might not know what is going on. Now, for WWE, I feel like they maybe sometimes take it almost too far one way, where, well, we assume that no one knows what's going on outside of the world. So when we bring in a wrestler that's either never worked for us or hasn't worked for us for a very long time, we treat them like no one knows who they are. Where AEW goes the exact opposite end of the spectrum and treats everyone like they should be smart fans. Well, that's great, except for if all you're advertising to is smart fans, you're gonna go broke real fast in that case. I look at it. I always compare pro wrestling to music. I feel like the industries are very very similar, and bands who only cater to musicians, very seldom are they rich afterwards because all they're catering to are other starving artists, as opposed to, okay, what someone is putting out might not always be the best example of musical talent, but it's fun and it's good to listen to, and they sell a million records or something like that. It's you don't you have to find a comfortable medium to get both sides of it.
I completely agree. I think both of these companies are on the far end, and the one that figures out how to get to the middle is going to win by leaps and bounds. Obviously, right now WWE is the one that is above and beyond everyone else. I think that they have quite the lead and the advantage, and I do kind of believe that they're starting to move into what you're talking about right now. But at the end of the day, AEW just has such a loaded roster. Like when I watch some of the WWE stuff, you could really feel that SmackDown's a bit of the B card, even though they have the bloodline. Like at the very top, they have some of the top wrestlers, but like everything else in the middle, it falls a little flat on what they're putting out the last couple of weeks. Whereas I can go into AEW, pull names out of a hat, and have a fantastic card if it's booked correctly.
If it's booked correctly, that's the thing. It feels SmackDown, at least. I feel like Raw has been doing a lot better, but SmackDown at least feels like it's like a sandwich with too much lettuce. Where it's a lot of filler. You get matches that almost don't mean anything.
I was muted. Sorry about that, guys.
No worries, boys. No worries. We can always fix that.
Like I said, we were like the way you're right. The lettuce, too much lettuce on the sandwich, a bunch of filler. That's how it feels. Even some of the big feuds, and we'll talk a bit more about WWE in a minute. But some of the feuds that you're supposed to care about right now, we kind of don't care about because we're not getting what we want from those, and there's a lot of filler going on.
Well, you know what I say. No lettuce, no problem.
But what I do love, bruv, is Osprey. I'm in. I'm completely in now. That promo that he cut at this show, though, it felt like they were building the show to be kind of pay-per-view caliber, and then they didn't stick the landing. But this segment stuck the landing for me, and I'll tell you why. I was a big critic on previous episodes of this show on saying how his style is going to stifle maybe his future. He's taking risks when he doesn't need it. What he did essentially, I believe he was talking directly to me in this segment and saying that I'm on a different level. You don't know what you're talking about. Just shut up and enjoy it. And you know what? I will. I heard it. I'll shut up and I'll enjoy it, bruv.
I really like his promo style. I know that some people have critiqued it. I enjoy the fact that he's a British guy that doesn't come off posh. I really really enjoy that, and I know I've said that before, but I really really enjoy what Osprey does. I truly believe that if he can just reel it in a scotch, just a scotch, just he doesn't need to reel it in much. Just tap the brake a little bit with his in ring style. He will be the guy that we talk about for 10, 15 more years. I see him, and I think he has a more exciting promo style than the guy that I'm about to describe, but he has all of the characteristics that I remember seeing in AJ Styles 15 years ago. And I think that's going to be that's where he's at in the world. Do I think that he deserved a 7-star match at the last pay-per-view? No, because I don't know anyone that deserves a 7-star match.
I thought
And
it went up to 5. How does that even work?
apparently it was 6 and 7/8 or something like that. And to our friends at the Observer, namely Mr. Meltzer, you just gave him a better match than any of the matches that Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat have ever had. I'm just saying that I'm throwing that idea out there. Do I think that was an awesome match? Yes. Do I think that Ospreay has had great matches? Yes. Do I think Ospreay's match with Fletcher was even better than his match with Takeshita? I kind of do. I thought it was safer. I thought it was a normal wrestling match overall. With that said, I don't want to keep seeing Ospreay in there having matches where he has to struggle in the match itself. I'd like to see him get a match where it's a good 7-8 minute match, but overall you can tell that he's in control for the most part. I think that
The
will build. I'm sorry, you were
I'm with
saying?
you. Yeah, I'm with you. Like having more of this like hooligan British person coming in, I feel like it's been lacking, and it's been right there the whole time, right? Like we don't need everyone with a crown and a cape. This is great. This is someone that, not someone that has had the fanciest of training, but the one you bump into at the bar, and he's gonna whoop your ass for spilling his Guinness. But that's kind of the way. Or harp, is that better for this? My English listeners, please don't beat me up for that. But at the end of the day, this is the style. I like this. But to everything else you just said, Steven, I don't think he cares, and he's not going to listen. And he just wants you and me and every other critic that's saying that he needs to chill or he's going to get hurt to shut up and enjoy the ride while it lasts. And if he's going to put it out there that way, I guess that's what I'm going to do.
I could see that. I think a little bit more where I'm going with it though too is the booking that they're having him do. He doesn't need to have the 5-star match every time he goes out there. I would
Or
like
does
to.
he? Is that just who he is? It's not the booking. It's because that's what this whole promo was. This whole promo was about that he was a head above everybody else. And anyone who says that Triple H didn't said that he didn't know how good Osprey was, they're fooling themselves. There's no one that's more tapped into this whole thing. That's just a silly rumor. And even if Stephanie McMahon came over to me and told me that Triple H actually said that, I wouldn't believe her. This is he knew exactly who this person was. Maybe they just weren't willing to put the money towards him. Maybe they didn't have a spot for him. That's one of the things that I think AEW has going for them and going against them at the same time, is that they might have too much talent. Like, where do you put some of this talent if you can't put them all in the main event? Where WWE maybe didn't today have that spot for this kind of main eventer, didn't want to shell out the money that AEW, when AEW is throwing around, making you the highest paid person, period, or fill in the blank. So that's kind of the way I see him kind of coming out. I think you're going to see that every single time he enters the match. He's going to try to go out there and put on a 12-star match. Can we get a 15? Can I get 15? 18? 22?
347. That's where we're at. 347 stars. I agree with you on WWE pretty much having the finger on the pulse with him. And I also think, what do you do with him? You can't send him to NXT. He's beyond the
Oh,
developmental area of things. So you'd have to bring him right onto the show. And what do? Who do you throw him in there with? Anyone that you throw him in there with, you either have to squash him or squash them, right? Like it's going to turn into a situation where, and also I think they put more money. I think AEW threw him more money, which has been a trend.
I'm
Speaking
not going to
of,
sit here and fantasy book, but you put him in there with Ray.
yeah, Ray,
Because Ray can put him over. He doesn't lose anything to losing to Osprey. They put on a sensational match, and then you're off to the races.
I could see him going in there with two guys in WWE that are at the end, which Ray would be one of them, and maybe even AJ. Talking about money, though, how we have been. Let's go to the new money signing. One of the new money signings, because they have several. Okada made his in-ring debut this past week in a very not memorable 6-man match, a non-advertised 6-man match. I don't even care that he went in there and beat up 3, as Scarps would have said, jamokes, just complete jabronis on the other side of the ring. If the term jobber had a picture, it was those 3 guys. Now, with that said, no advertisement. You just paid this guy $13, $15 million or whatever it was, and We're not going to advertise him on our television. We're not going to say his first match is going to be over here.
Well, he
I
was
think,
wasn't he on the card for Big Business? Like that was on there ahead of time.
no, he made his debut before that. He made it on the Collision right after he debuted.
I see. Yeah, you're right.
So, and he made that debut just before, right the literally the next show, and they never advertised it. Or was it Collision? I believe it was Collision. It wasn't Rampage. He made it on the Saturday show, and no advertisement, no nothing. They never said anything about it. You paying this guy to be your big name talent. Well, you need to start using him to pay some dividends then, because you're paying a lot of people a lot of money, and if you're not getting the ratings and you're not getting your buildings filled up, I still think AEW would be better off going to 5,000 person arenas at this point. I think they're jumping too high too soon with these 10 and 15 and 20,000 seat basketball arenas. And if they had just jumped down to a 5 or an 8,000, 3,000 people look a lot more filling at that point.
Yeah, I hear you there, but they have the draw to fill some of those arenas. Like they're not hurting to fill those stadiums, and having those more people in there bring that passion, bring that crowd, brings that hype to the promotion in general. But so like I see where you're coming from on that front, but if you're going to pay someone $15 million, you want to be able to see them fill stadiums like this. But I think they just need to do it. You're right. They have to do it better. They need to put him in a program. Starting him off with Kingston doesn't do much for me. They're going to give him a title, break up the 3 titles that Kingston has, and kind of go from there. Sure, like cool. You gave him some gold. We move it on. Put him in there with somebody big. Start being the draw. I just don't. This is going to fall flat. Like I said, this was built like a pay-per-view card that they just had with Big Business, and it felt like a hell show.
Not to mention, they stuck him with the Bucks. And look, I'll be the first one to admit it. I'm a Bucks hater. I am one of these guys.
Yeah,
and I'm sure there are
knows that.
Yes. But in a very factual way, because I do pay attention to ratings and I do pay attention to what the things on the business side of things are, the Bucks are ratings killers. They have X-Pac go home heat. You don't want to see them. It's not even that I hate them. I hate seeing them. I don't want them on my television. And I'm in the majority right now. So you stuck what was at one point the biggest babyface in New Japan with your heel EVPs who don't draw heat and don't draw ratings. You're not doing him any favors. And I'm not saying that he needed to be a babyface here. What I'm saying is, if you're paying him that much money, at least do him the favor of making sure you're getting the return on your investment.
And
I think
give him
it's
a bigger finisher move than the Lariat that he threw, because it came off a little weak. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sure he does it much better than he did in Big Business. But the moves that they do in AEW, the insane stunts that they throw, Darby Allin going through a pane of glass off on the outside, off the top of a ladder, and then coming back into the match later on, even though it was just for a quick second. Hilarious. It's not putting anybody down.
or a spike pile driver that gets no sold.
I'm just saying, like it's time to have something a little bit more impactful.
Definitely. Or reel in everyone else and make sure that they stop kicking out of spike pile drivers.
If you can.
Like I said, I just want Okada to be able to do the best that he can, because I do want to see him do good. I want to see AEW do well. I want this promotion to do as best as they can. And I feel like it's just bad booking all around. It's bad. And bad booking is literally what brings me to my next people, and that's Adam Copeland challenging Christian Cage again. Why is it feels like as much as he's chasing Christian Cage, he's chasing this C-list title right now. Like Christian is doing A-list work, but that title is has turned into the third title on the card. So why is a legend, a bona fide world champion, a bona fide Hall of Famer chasing the number 3 title?
I think that the way that if I'm in their minds, what they're trying to do is they're trying to elevate the title by putting these two people up against it. I actually would have loved to have seen Christian Cage drop this title because this feud doesn't need a title. I do think it's good booking putting these two against each other again because I think a lot of people want to see it. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these guys stepped away from the ring for good after this feud. But at the end, I'm excited for this. I'm not super excited for whatever that crazy ass bat it was that Mick Foley told Copeland to bring. And so, but I would love to see, I want to see these guys blow off steam. I want to see an epic match between the two of them. I love seeing them work together. They're good friends in real life. This has, amazing match written all over it, a legacy match written all over it. I just want to see it done right.
It definitely has a lot of potential, and I agree with you on all those counts. And I definitely agree that this feud doesn't need the title. And I don't think it doesn't, I don't feel like this feud is elevating the title. And I don't feel like the title is elevating the feud. So it's not helping either one. I agree. I think it would have been better if Christian had basically lost the title to Daniel Garcia. It would have been good if they did it even with some type of not real shenanigans, but maybe distraction shenanigans where Adam Copeland, I'm probably going to keep calling him Edge because I don't know what else to say at this point, came out because you have Edge who is, I'm sure, drawing, once again, I'm sorry to say it like this, but drawing a very good paycheck from them. And he wasn't on the pay-per-view.
Well, he was hurt, wasn't he?
Yeah, maybe, but he's obviously well enough to come out a week or two later. He was probably.
I see why they do that kind of. They don't want to overshadow Sting. They don't want to bring another megastar in to steal that moment. Not that it's the right idea, but I can argue myself into why that makes sense.
I just think if you had brought Copeland out at the pay-per-view, and he doesn't have to do anything, he doesn't have to do anything physical, it gives you a good enough reason to get Daniel Garcia a roll-up for the win for the title. And now you can move forward where you have an angry Christian who is going after Edge because he is mad that he cost him the belt. And I think it elevates the feud more. Again, I just don't think that this title elevates the feud at all. I would like to see this blow off maybe not be this type of match, or if at the end of this something happens where Christian and Copeland manage to mend fences and we get a reuniting of the tag team and they go after the tag team titles. Because I'll tell you what, if I got an Edge and Christian versus FTR match, I'm cool with that. I'll tune in. I'll tune in every week for something like that. But for what
that
they're giving,
be dope.
Yeah, like and it's Edge and Christian. Well, Adam Copeland and Christian now, after 20 something years of experience going against what both of us consider to be the best tag team in the world right now. I would love that. That would be awesome fantasy booking. Tony, if you're listening to me, book that match.
Though, what I think is right now the biggest feud in wrestling is, and the main event for night 2 of WrestleMania is Cody versus The Rock. Except for no, I said it the way I meant to.
Fair enough.
The way that they're building up this feud right now between Cody and The Rock makes it feel like the title is going to be defended by, I guess, The Rock. Would he be de facto champion in this weird world that I'm living in of WWE. Right? I don't understand what WWE is doing right now. They have the best storylines, but the people that are feuding with other people aren't the matches that you're going to end up getting at WrestleMania, the ones that really matter. And I'm in, like I'm hooked. I haven't missed one in weeks. I love the back and forth between The Rock and Cody, but I believe The Rock, Cody is supposed to be wrestling Roman Reigns night two for the title, and here we are.
My question is The Rock a face or a heel? Because this last
Depend
week he was a face.
Depends on where he is. I actually absolutely loved that being in Memphis, he was the face. He wasn't. The things he said
Was still heel.
were all heel. He didn't change his demeanor. The only thing that he changed was the love of the crowd. And that's who he is right now, right? He went off the deep end when Cody changed his mind and took the title shot against Roman because the fans turned on him. So when those Cody crybabies came out and turned on The Rock, he got vicious against those guys. But he walked into Memphis like he was walking home. And those people absolutely loved him. There was no Cody chance. There was nothing going on back there that they weren't booing The Rock in any way. It was all The Rock, and that was his home, and he landed it.
Not to mention, I mean, he brought up his horrible original name. Let us never speak the words Flex Cavana ever again. Or as Scarp said it on to me on a side call, Cabana Boy.
It sounds like one of the hotel lounge singers.
Definitely does. And if you look at his old getup back then, he kind of looked like a hotel lounge singer. Um, I love this segment. Honestly, I've been loving everything The Rock's been doing lately. I do think that he kind of we keep saying he flipped gears pretty quickly, but at the same time, if you're gonna be thrown off your rocker, I think that
Pun intended.
makes yeah, I think exactly. I think that's the most accurate way of doing it was, oh, I didn't know this was going to happen, and I'm going a little crazy because of it. So he's now heel Rock, or and truthfully, I wanted to draw this comparison. I'm glad you're here, Mr. Showtime, to for me to draw the comparison too. It feels very much Hollywood Hulk Hogan, where he kind of went where even with this Memphis thing, it feels very much like he's a heel. He is a dead heel almost everywhere in the world. And if you look, Hogan, even the shows just before Mania, Hogan wasn't really getting cheered. The match was getting cheered. And then Hogan came out against The Rock for that Mania, and Hogan got cheered. Toronto just loved Hogan and refused to let him be a heel.
Yeah, the
In this
nostalgia took them over. But I think that the Rock right now is doing a master class in feeding off the crowd, showing them what these segments are supposed to be. They're giving him all the time in the world, or I guess he's giving him all the time in the world, as he's everyone's boss, the final boss.
the final boss.
What he's doing right now is a masterclass in working the crowd, and that's what draws, right? If you feel like the feud isn't between The Rock and Cody, but the feud is between The Rock and me, I'll pay to go and boo him. And that's what he's doing right now. And everything he does is gold. The only thing that he's doing that I don't think is necessarily gold is that he's completely overshadowing Roman Reigns, who's the actual world champion, which is kind of the reason why I think, we'll talk about it as we get into this with the Paul Heyman segment with Cody and having him come to SmackDown this week alone. I actually buy that Roman will be there by himself because they need to give Roman a moment to just chump Cody. Cody is only talking to The Rock, and when he does mention Roman, it's to make fun of The Rock, him being the side chick or whatever they want to call him now. And they need to build some more heat because it's all there, right? Everything building to pre-Rock, there's so much heat in that storyline. There is no need for The Rock in this whole storyline, except for the fact that he is bringing massive attention. He's elevating this to maybe one of the biggest feuds of all times when it comes to drawing an audience, getting people excited to see it, entertaining people. Like, though he's never really going to win a Grammy or anything like that with his rock concerts, but he is really elevating the product to a whole new level. And I wouldn't hate it if he became one of the new bosses, even though the GMs of both SmackDown and Raw, I think, are doing a fantastic job on screen specifically. So I don't know. I can't really say too much that I hate this, except for like I actually absolutely love this storyline that's going on right now. Except for I'm missing the person that Cody's actually going to feud with.
Yeah, like Roman wasn't even in Memphis, right? Like it was
Yeah,
just
he
The
wasn't
Rock.
there.
But what the
And
I mean,
then Heyman came to Raw.
yeah,
Like that was the moment where he could. And I get it. Like you said, Heyman to build up Roman, but at the end of the day, you need more Cody and Roman, and
and
that
Roman
is the
interaction.
story. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, and that is the thread through a lot of these feuds that they have going on right now.
So I will agree with you. Everything The Rock's been doing lately, at least since he went full heel, has been gold. I think it's absolute gold. Um, Now then, on to something that I think might be silver or bronze at best, and this is my take on it. Cody's response to The Rock. I know that a lot of people have gone on record in saying that his response on Raw was fire. It was the best thing that he's done. I'm gonna disagree, and my disagreement comes in this form. I think Cody is really good at making sure that the things he did well are what stand out. So the things that stood out in that promo, the 4 curse words and the one-liners to The Rock. The rest of the promo though is okay. And I think I'm giving him the pass of it being okay because I'm a Cody fan and I want it to be good. And I want to give him the pass. But the fact of the matter is, look, you, me, and even Scarps when he's here is we're all guys from New Jersey who have great relationships with our parents. Well, great relationships with our mothers. I can tell
Right.
you, I can tell you right now that I don't care who you are. If you said something somewhat disrespectful about my mother, I will wrap you in the mouth. I will come hunt you down and find you to punch you in the mouth. And I didn't get that feeling from Cody. I got the fire when he was doing the one-liners, and I got the fire from when he said the curses. But when he actually had to talk about what The Rock said about his mother, I wanted if even if you are going to stoop to his level, that's where I want you to stoop to his level. You keep my mother's name out of your mouth. You say my mother's name one more time, I swear to God, I will come find you, and you don't have to worry about making another movie because I'll cripple you. Something along those lines. If you're going to stoop to his level on the things that count. I
Yeah,
didn't get that feeling from him.
I'm with you. I have a great relationship with both my parents, and if you talk about my mama, you're going to regret it. The end of the day, the Rock definitely backed him into a corner, and so if you took everything out for the Cody segment, take everything, all the things that happened around it, this was an amazing segment from Cody. This promo was absolute fire. It was great. from start to finish. I love how fired up he was. He didn't have to defend his mom because his mom could clearly defend herself as she's beating up on undercover cops at Willie Nelson concerts. But what I hated about this, if you now bring in all the other stuff, he's supposed to be our, kind of our white bread babyface. And I know that no one wants exactly that anymore. But he got backed into a corner and they stooped to the Rock's level, which just goes back to Drew McIntyre telling me over and over again that Rollins and Cody are not the good guys in this situation. They're not necessarily the bad guys, but these two guys, like Cody went back on his word when he already said that he'd give up that title shot to The Rock. He got overly emotional last time, which I felt like it was a little over the top, but that's fine. Like I get it. You want to wear your heart on your sleeve, and that's more the baby face that I expect to see from Cody right now. As much as I enjoyed in the moment the segment, he's bringing himself down. He's going to continue to bring himself down to the Rock's level, and when he does that, he's going to put himself in this gray area where I don't want to see him cheat to take down Roman because he feels like he's backed into that corner where someone comes out, and so someone comes out, they leave the chair in the ring, he hits Roman with that, and that's how he wins the title. That ruins all of this for me. That's not what you want. I don't think that's what anyone wants. And so that's kind of what I'm afraid to see moving forward. The further he gets pulled into the mud, the more he's going to act like those with him.
So my only thing is with him, again, with him kind of stooping to The Rock's level, it felt a little unnatural with some of it because he is that white meat baby face. He is that I'm a good guy. I wear the white cowboy hat and I rescue women who are trapped on railroads. It just felt like even the stuff he was doing, it didn't feel like he needed to do it. And again, if he was to do it, and I don't disagree with your assessment of he doesn't need to defend his mom, but at the same time, if you're going to get down in the dirt about something, it needs to be about the right things. He needs to not just throw one-liners out for no reason. It needs to be, if he's going to throw the curse out, it shouldn't just be in a one-liner. It should have been because he's hanging over the ropes and like he's so mad that he can't think of anything else other than to call The Rock a dick. And not just small dick energy, just that you're a dick, sir.
Little dick energy. It's different,
little,
I think. I don't know.
the difference. Is it actual little or is it actual little or is it like Lil, like Lil, like a rapper?
I'm not sure. You're gonna have to ask Cody on that one. I don't have too much experience in that space. So
I think I'm friends with his cousin somewhere. So maybe if so facto by osmosis we can get that. But I do agree with you on Drew kind of calling these guys out on this stuff. Man, I feel like what you've been saying is true. Drew McIntyre is the babyface in this situation. Or
it's
at
so
least
clear
he's
to me,
not
man.
the heel.
It's so clear to me. He's clearly the face, right? He's the one that respects the title. He's the one that respects the fans. He's the one telling everyone what they need, what is happening, and not getting confused by the sheen of everyone going off. I do think, like, when we look back in 10 years at what's happening right now with the Bloodline and Cody and Seth, I think we're gonna see the reemergence of maybe like a kind of a more watered down PG-13 era. Like, they're gonna have to be PG-13, but I don't think you're gonna see a ton of blood. I don't think you're gonna see a bunch of nudity randomly in the WWE. But I think you're gonna see more adult content, more cursing, more of that aspect of things, or maybe where regulations start easing up a little bit when these networks like Fox or USA are gonna allow them to curse to a certain degree, get a little bit more adult. So I think that's where you're going, and I think that it's some of it's most prevalent in the clear to me, and as Drew has told me, heel turn that Seth Rollins is in the middle of right now. Like, if you didn't know what else was going on and you just watched this segment, you would say that Seth Rollins is the heel and Drew McIntyre is the face. Drew McIntyre is the one who worked his butt off to deserve this title, and Seth Rollins is treating it like nothing. This is the workman title that he propped up and now doesn't care that he has to defend it. It seems so off, and I'll tell you, this version of Seth Rollins, I think he's an absolute turd burglar. Now, if he's trying to be a good guy, he's trying to be a face, then I hate it. You're doing this all wrong. It's just wrong. If he's turning heel, like I see this as, you're doing it completely right. You're standing over the toilet. You have gloves up to your elbows, standing over it, just burgling turds. And I'm cool with that, man. Just get it, Seth. Go out there and make everybody hate you. But like, he's in this weird gray area where he is certainly not a face in my opinion, and he's looking heelish and heelish more and more. He is cutting Drew McIntyre deep, and all Drew McIntyre is doing is standing there with integrity. Like, that is what's happening. That's what the end of that segment was him standing there with all the integrity, and I freaking love it.
Well, even the end of that segment, if Drew was really the heel, wouldn't that have been the point that he attacked him?
Yeah, and I'm sitting there like, I
He
don't
would have
talk to
taken
my
a sucker
TV.
punch on him at least at some point, right? Like it would have been
I
like,
don't
hey,
talk to
I'm
my
gonna.
TV all that often, but when that segment was done, I'm like, Claymore, just, Claymore, come on, do it. You won't do it. Come on, he deserves it. Just I want to see Seth get kicked in the face. I'm excited to see him get kicked in the face, and that's how you know he's a heel.
I want to see him get knocked down a peg. Even what he was saying when he was leaving the ring. Baby faces
That's what I
don't
mean.
usually say the words "I hate you." I'm just saying they don't go into that realm like, not to sound too much like the Star Wars nerd, but I'm a Star Wars nerd. Anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering, suffering leads to the dark side, right? Like that's how this works. And
This is a heel turn.
yeah,
And again, like, not to spoil WrestleMania for everybody, but this is where he screws Cody, because he's the Shield. Of course, he's the Shield, and the other part of the Shield is Roman Reigns.
I am getting more and more on board with that Cody and Seth are going to lose that tag match. I don't see any world where they don't. I think that is the point where Cody has to fight really, really uphill. I think it makes his story that much better if he has to win under bloodline rules, and especially if he does it without real backup.
Oh, he's gonna have the number 2 babyface in his corner, Drew McIntyre.
I don't think he's gonna have. I don't think he's gonna have anybody in his corner. I think even the people who would normally be in it or who they're setting up to be in his corner are not going to be in his corner, and we will get to that later on. Obviously, Seth is one of those people, but I don't think Seth is going to be in his corner. I think Seth is gonna screw him, or at least screw the pooch, and I think that leaves Cody completely solo on that.
Was that another plan? Because I don't think Solo's going to help Cody.
The other one of the other title matches that was announced or that was verified for this was the IC title match. We are going to definitely get Sammy and Gunther. They are leading this into being a three-way very much, but it still, as of right now, is just going to be Sammy and Gunther. And for anyone questioning, Sammy signed the contract. He did, in fact, definitely sign that contract. So it is, at the very least, at least those two for the moment. I think they will tear the house down if it's just the two of them. I'm really excited to see that match. I think if they do insert Chad Gable into this somehow and make it a three-way match, I think they will still tear the house down. I will put this out there. I don't want it to be a three-way match. Not
I don't
because
think
I
it's
don't
going to be.
not because I don't want to see that match, because I don't want to see the other mid card title be defended in a three-way match, and I hope that that is where their thinking comes in on this. We already have a
I,
U.S. title match that is going that way. Right now, I don't want to see the IC title go that way.
I was quite condescending to you last week, and for that, I won't apologize because everything changes on a weekly basis, and I'll never apologize. So eat that, Steven.
That's fair.
But at the end of the day, this IC title match, I was convinced was going to turn into a three-way. I am less so now because they're using Chad Gable to motivate Sammy now. And I actually wouldn't be surprised if they turn this into like one of those like throwing the white flag, like not an I quit match, but like when you have one person in your corner and he has one
He's gonna
person in the
throw in the
corner,
towel for him.
throwing the towel match kind of thing. I could see that turning into this where I liked what Chad was doing this week. And I like Sammy's bite back on. This means a lot to me too. Like don't put those feelings. Like, it didn't. I have kids at home. Like they cry when I lose. Like you're not the only parent in this whole federation. That you don't own this feeling. But at the end of the day, he's right. The Sammy has been the opportunist. That's what he does. He gets his butt kicked, and then when a window opens, he wins the title. He wins the match. And Gunther has proven that he does not make mistakes. The Usos made mistakes. That's the reason why that they won those titles. Is they made mistakes. They made the opening. He came in, kicked everybody in the face, and they won. The Gunther isn't going to do that. And honestly, you can kick him in the face, and I don't think it's going to really do much. Can he even get his leg that high? Like, is that?
I mean,
is that
maybe
possible?
Gunther is kind of a perfect machine for pro wrestling.
He is, I
think he would. I think he would be extremely successful, no matter what era we throw Gunther in. Doesn't matter when it is. If you threw Gunther in the 70s, he would be a dominant heel world champion, no matter where he is. In the 80s, you're telling me that we wouldn't see Hogan squaring up with Gunther at WrestleMania one year? I absolutely think he'd be as big as a King Kong Bundy or anything else. Or on the other side of things, on the NWA side of things, I think Gunther would be having drag out amazing matches with guys like Flair and Ronnie Garvin and Dusty Rhodes. He's kind of as close to a generational talent as we're going to get at this point. He's perfect without being Kurt Hennig.
I wanted to see him versus Funk. Like that would have been.
Oh, it would have been so good. It would have been so good. But like anybody, him versus Sting, we would have gotten a monster match. Him versus any of these guys, him versus Shawn Michaels back in the 90s would have given us a great, bully versus the pretty boy.
Though I think it's going to be really hard for them to take this title off him right now. I agree that we want him to lose his title so he can go on to bigger and better things. I think we're all on that boat, that bandwagon. But in all honesty, I actually kind of agree with Chad Gable. I don't know if Sammy can do it. I don't know if even if you look back at the gauntlet match, were that 6 guys that you really believed were any of those 6 guys really someone you believe could beat Gunther?
Not really. No, I
could
don't
see Kevin Owens beating Gunther. I could see Randy Orton beating Gunther. LA Knight could be the one that they throws him, maybe.
I could see that.
This group, I'm not sure if I see it the way they're building it. That's why I do like the way they're handling Sammy right now. Like he needs to change. Something needs to snap on him in order for him to get over this hump of Gunther. He's going to have to do something. I don't want to say something dastardly, but he's going to need to bring the match to Gunther, do a match that Gunther, you see that Gunther feels uncomfortable in the style that he's wrestling. I got it. I'm sorry. I can't believe I didn't see this earlier. This breaking news. Sammy is not going to fight Gunther at WrestleMania.
So happy you realized what I was doing on this side.
He's going to give his friend a call. and bring El Generico in. I can't believe I didn't see this
I'm
before.
so happy you caught on to that hint there.
Man, oh man, El Generico's gonna be back. I know that they were friends in the past, and they're gonna bring El Generico, and then El Generico is gonna be the next. I could see El Generico beating Gunter.
He could be.
It's
My
brilliant.
only issue with El Generico is he's not a very good promo.
Doesn't matter. Have Sammy talk for him. They could be
But
standing side by side. I haven't seen them together. I don't know if I've ever seen them in the same promo.
I don't think I ever have, and I think it'd be a dream match.
It would be. Actually, I would love to see the two of those go toe to toe. But that's not what we're talking. We're talking about the IC title right now.
I think we're gonna. There might be doing something else too. If we're not turning Gable actual heel, which it feels like they might shift him a little bit. This whole thing with him not thinking that Sammy can do it. Mania's in Philly, right? What's Philly the home of? Rocky. Maybe Gable trains Sammy.
Yeah, he's the Mick. I
He's
100% see that. That's what I meant.
he
Essentially,
could be
by
the
with the
myth,
throwing the towel match.
or in this case, I'm actually gonna look at him a little bit more like Apollo. He's gonna bring him back into the fold. In this case, he's gonna, hey, you're doubting yourself. I need to work with you so much so that you don't doubt yourself. Like if Sammy shows up at Mania and he has abs that he hasn't shaved onto his stomach himself, I'll be thrilled for it. Like good for you. But
no, he's doing the Mick right now because Mick never believed in Rocky. Apollo did because he met him after he could do it.
But I think it would be awesome. I think that would be good, even if they don't do Chad throwing in the towel on him, or if they do it that way. In which case, you have a Sammy Chad feud for the next couple months, and I'll watch that. I'll absolutely watch Sami Zayn and Chad Gable go at it for the next few months because at least we know we'll get great wrestling matches out of it.
I'm in. I like good wrestling, so I have a wrestling podcast. That surprise. So yeah, I would like to see I like those matches. I like that feud. I don't know. I just don't buy. Like here's how I can see him if it's like a throw in the towel match. You just see Chad Gable burn the towel. It's like I'll let you die in there, man. Like, I won't let you quit.
That would be cool too, and I could see them doing a Sammy pass out gimmick, especially like a Boston Crab or something like that. Like he just can't get out. I think this IC title match has a lot more going for it than the other mid card title match, which I love Logan Paul and I love Randy Orton and I love Kevin Owens. They're just this 3-way match just doesn't. I feel like it's not doing it for me right now. And I'm sorry that it's not. I like all three of these guys and I want to like this match. I think I would have liked it better if it I'm gonna agree with you. I would have liked it better if it was just Owens. I think I might have even liked it better if it was just Orton. If we had gotten some type of closure with Owens before this, and then we could have set up Orton for this.
Make Owens a special guest referee. You could have gotten him in this match in a way where it's not a 3-way. I think you're going to get a spectacular match, though. I think we're letting ourselves get in the way of what could be something special because I think Logan Paul has shown that with two studs like Owens and Orton being in this match with him, this could be the match of the night. This could be of the nights. I really see this turning that way. The problem is there's zero heat. It's the opposite of heat between Owens and Orton, and they even just avoided that this week when Owens could have gotten RKO'd, and he could have started that friction between the two of them. But they've been pals. They've been friends. Like Orton apologized to him in ring, and I get how that's funny because Logan Paul wanted his own apology, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, my friend. I didn't mean to almost RKO you. I didn't know you were here." I love all that stuff, but you're going to turn it into almost a 2v1 that makes me I'll end up picking Logan Paul if they have no heat between the two of them, because something's going to happen where he kind of stays in that victory because of something happening. I don't know, shenanigans or what have you.
Shenanigans.
I want to see more heat between Owens and Orton now. Like they should have been upset with each other from the Elimination Chamber, or there could have been something in there, like Owens gets eliminated because of Orton. Orton gets eliminated because of Logan Paul. Logan Paul and Owens already hate each other. Like there could have been a good dynamic that they pulled out of that. The three of them could have been feuding this whole time. This just kind of seems thrown together because I don't know what to do with Owens. Let's just throw him in the match that everyone wanted to see him in the first place. We thought we were going to build to this and blow this off this way, but we didn't know what to do with Orton. So we threw him in this match. And like Orton doesn't need the U.S. title. Like what does he need the U.S.
Not at
title
all.
for?
He's already been a Grand Slam champion. He doesn't need it again. My thing with this is, which seems to be the trend for the more SmackDown matches, is I feel like there's not a lot of build for them. Like we're seeing some of the build for like the tag title match, at least. We're seeing the build for the IC title match. We're seeing the build for Seth and Drew. We're seeing the build for the superstar tag match. We're seeing the build for Cody and Roman. But the matches that are very SmackDown specific, the US title match, the AJ LA Knight match, a lot of these just don't feel even the SmackDown women's title match. All of those matches feel very, very just underwhelming right now. I know you have brought up several times that you just don't care about the women's title match from SmackDown, because I don't disagree with you. There's no reason to care about this match right now.
I historically like Bayley. Like normally, I would be all for this match. I can't care. Like I want to care. I try to care, and they're not letting me care in this situation. They're bringing in people that I don't care about. They're making this a little bit over convoluted. I have no idea what they're trying to do with the the women's tag team titles. We were talking about it earlier. Like I think Naomi coming in, maybe her and Sasha Banks, her and
Bianca Belair.
Bianca Belair. Maybe the two of them are gonna fight for the women's tag titles because of the save. I don't know. It just seems like a mess, and I don't know where they're going. I'll tell you, the U.S. title buildup has been Waller and Austin Theory.
Yeah,
it's been. This is partial of the partial champion, like the part-time champion stuff, because Logan Paul's doing all this other stuff. Roman Reigns is off doing whatever he's doing, and the people aren't feuding with the right people in this moment in time. And I almost want these storylines to be for next year, where we have Cody versus Brock.
Yeah,
and some of the other things that are going on that they're building towards, which they're kind of not building towards the right matches as of right now. And the U.S. title feels a bit like that because Orton and Kevin Owens have been tagging together against Austin Theory and Waller, instead of having a three-way match where, I don't know, Sammy comes in and helps, or whoever it is that needs to jump into this. Just give me more R-Truth. He'll jump in there and help. Yeah, but I didn't know. Am I in this match? Yeah, am I in this match?
Speaking of truth,
where he is in currently is within
in the tag team title match.
He's in.
He's
this
in.
Weird. Well, like, sorry, I don't mean to be like that. I'm excited that R-Truth is in. If those who are listening don't know that I absolutely love R-Truth, what's up?
The intro to that tag title match might have been my favorite part of Raw.
Okay.
Oh, I feel bad for whoever has to face those guys. That's hairy. Amazing. I am. Consider me on the bandwagon. I'm on the R-Truth bandwagon. Everything that he's been doing, gold.
There's plenty of room. Anyone else who wants to join us? I believe I'm driving the carriage, but this is where it's at.
It's cool. We've got beer and whiskey. It'll be great.
What's up?
But I thought the match that they had was predictable, aside from the actual ending.
That's what I laughed about.
The finish was predictable.
That's what I laughed about, because I don't understand. Like, you could have just told me that all these guys were going to be in it, and it would have been the same. Every single one of these matches of the people that are making it to this cluster of a 6-team scramble match, you could have just announced them and it would have been essentially the same thing, except for DIY versus the Creed brothers, which I thought was the match of the night. And I absolutely love the Creed brothers. I want them to be the next incarnation of the Steiner brothers. Let them go out there and become the epic tag team that they are destined to become based on what I've seen of them. I know they're former NXT champions, but I absolutely love this match. They did some cool shit. They tried to do a little too much where some of that stuff looked a little sloppy, but like when you're tossing around two seasoned veterans the way the Creed brothers were tossing them around, like that's bound to happen. And they were just muscling DIY around. It was amazing. Like, this has been the only tag team qualifying match that I started to believe maybe there was an upset coming, and then there wasn't. And I love the ending. The ending was great. Don't get me wrong.
So this match had the best ending out of any match that I've seen in a while. I really liked that, even though it was a super kick into the roll up, I liked how they ended the match. I love that. The Creed brothers. I am huge fans of the Creed brothers. If I can critique something that I am a fan of, though, I think they need a little bit more seasoning. I would have liked to have kept them in NXT a hair longer than they were kept in NXT. They're both young. Keeping them there for an extra year wouldn't have hurt them. And I think it would have helped a lot with some of their character development that would have gotten them to become this new incarnation of the Steiner brothers, like you said. I see that. The problem is all they are in my eyes right now are really good athletes.
I have the perfect person to team them up with. You're never going to guess who this is.
Is it R-Truth?
No, it's not R-Truth. It's not that funny. It's Braun Breaker. And, you know, Breaker reminds me of a Steiner, if you could believe it or not.
What?
Right? I can see Breaker and the Creed just call themselves the Steiners, and I'm in. I can see them coming in and just wrecking house. Like, call them wrecking house, and we're good. And I think you're right. They need more seasoning. I would like to see them kind of, like, because they're, like you said, they're young and they look young, which is some of the problem with some of the people that they push a little bit too early across all the companies. Like, Hook is a good example of it, right? He's clearly talented. He looks like he's 12 years old. I'm sure he might look bigger in person than when he's in this like defunct meat match, but like, you kind of see when someone's a little bit too young and they come in, they don't feel like they're fully developed yet, quite to that level that you really want them to be. And you could see that when you saw them come out. I actually was like, oh well, these guys are going to job out. Like, but talk about subverting expectations. That's exactly what they did. Like, I saw them come out, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be over quickly. And they put on one of the better matches I've seen in a while. Absolutely love them. I want to see them pushed. I want to see them get a good feud. Like, put them in a feud similar to, I'm going to forget everyone's name, but what's going on with Lashley's group?
The Street Profits
the Street Profits
and Karrion Kross's group, the yes. Final Testament. That's it. Final Testament is.
Yeah, Final Testament. That was the one I knew the Street Profits first, but the Final Testament was the one that I was missing, which I believe they're fighting next week. Give them someone that to oppose them, and let them just work it out together for a little bit. And I think you would see these guys really, really take.
So
Actually, move them to SmackDown. The SmackDown could use them.
So I'm gonna say because it doesn't look like they're gonna move to SmackDown, at least not for the next 2 months until they do the Superstar Shakedown again after Mania. But what I will say is almost could we flip flop the tag team matches that we had last night on Raw? Could we get, or at least feud wise, if we got the Indishir, the Indian guys versus the Creed brothers for the next like 3 months, where they just beat on each other, I could see that being a good measuring stick for both of them. And again, four good athletes, and you have the white meat baby faces versus the ignorant Americans hateful wet dream.
I was really confused with them. Like you have Jinder Mahal as their manager, and then that match it had to be about 3 minutes long, and the end of that match was amazing with R-Truth getting knocked out and falling on the pin. It's like such a R-Truth thing to do. I love that stuff, but at the end of the day, yes, I think that's a good one. Actually, I would love to see them go up against the New Day too. Like give them like a couple of veterans that'll help give them some of the tricks of the trade. Have the New Day go over on them a couple times, and then they finally get that win. They finally arrived. I think that would be very beneficial to them as well. I wasn't quite sure which other tag team match you were going to say because I feel like tag team wrestling's everywhere right now, in honestly both federations or companies.
Speaking of tag teams, we have two tag team partners facing each other off in what I am considering the possible show stealer match of WrestleMania, at least for whatever night they're on. And that is Jimmy and Jey Uso.
Oos.
Man, I cannot wait for this match. And the buildup that they're giving us for this match is everything that I want it to be. I like this idea that even though they seemingly want to tear each other's heads off, there's still that familial bond, the twins, the brothers. There's a little something holding them back right off the bat. They're not just running into the ring and beating the crap out of each other. They have the stare down, at least at first. They have the talk. Someone says something and then it turns into a fight. And I like that. I like everything that they're doing with this. I think, again, I've said this going into this, I think this is going to be the match that we're all really happy about.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one. When WWE decides to do brother versus brother at WrestleMania, expect fireworks. You're talking Hart brothers, Hardy
Hardys,
brothers.
Usos.
Can I say Kane versus Taker? Like they're brothers, right? Does that count? Because they did it twice.
They did it a couple times,
and they're probably the best matches.
They might have been the best matches.
The Hart one, Brett versus Owen is probably the best one. But
and the funny thing about that is they're probably going to end up being the opening of the show, just like Brett and Owen were. In which case, we're going to have a WrestleMania opener match that's going to rival what many consider to be the best WrestleMania opener match of all time.
Let's do it, Oos. I'm really excited about this one. I'm not quite sure who I want to win this one yet either, too, because I feel like everyone's going to get behind Jey, and I think everyone's going to expect Jey to win. I feel like Jimmy's just been kind of cast aside, and it really hasn't had a ton to work with, which is, I think, the reason why I'm rooting for Jimmy at this moment in time, because I think that if everyone's right and Cody's going to finish his story, you're not going to bury the bloodline. Jimmy, it makes sense for Jimmy to take one over on his brother, kind of elevating both of them. Because if Jimmy comes in and beats Jey when Jey almost beat Gunther, which is another one you can put in that group of people who I believe could beat Gunther, then all of a sudden Jimmy could do it too. And now we have a group of people in the mid, like the upper mid card, that could be putting on some crazy matches.
I am going to say this. I feel like this is almost going to turn into a situation where the Usos reconcile somehow. And this goes to what I said is I don't think Cody is going to have anyone in his corner at the end of this. I think Cody is going to have to be the babyface that goes out and does this on night 2 completely by himself. And I think that's kind of what we all want. At the end of the day, we want Cody to be the superhero that climbed the mountain.
I want to see them. I want to see The Rock and Roman win night 1, have it be Bloodline rules, and then Triple H come down and drop a cell.
Nice.
Sure, it's Bloodline rules. Try to get in.
Yeah, man, dropping a cage would be awesome in that scenario. I think that would be so cool for the Bloodline Rules match. But again, I think it's going to be a situation that Cody's going to have to fight this whole thing on his own.
I would just like to see a little bit more FaceTime from Triple H, right? He was there and kind of in the beginning of the Bloodline. This could be a way for him to kind of come in and show his authority figure mentality. I know he's letting the GMs of the respected shows do their thing, but Triple H is the only one that can actually come in here and bring order back to the biggest storyline out there. The only one that has the respect to stand up to The Rock. The only one that can come in here and really, drop it on the table and tell them this is the way we're going to do it. You are setting up the stipulations that you have no power to do. You sit on the board. I got together with the rest of the board the other day and we voted you down. This is the way we're going to do it. And this is how we're going to finish the story. I think those would be cool ways to kind of flip the script.
If nothing else,
unexpected.
he could always just say he's The Rock is a board member, but he's not the head of the board.
And he doesn't have booking decisions, right? Does he have booking decisions? Triple H has the final say in the booking decisions.
Yeah. Chief content creator. That means, or chief content officer. That means that you are making the booking decisions. So Usos, again, think I'm really excited about that match. I think that's going to be a big deal. I think we could be looking at probably the best match on the card, or at least one of the most exciting matches on the card. I know we said that about AJ and LA Knight. I don't think that they're going to get left in the dust necessarily, but I think that this is the match that they're going to have to go head to head against to see which one is going to be the match that on Monday that we're talking about. A match from Monday that I wish we weren't talking about is this last woman standing match. The more I see of Nia Jax, the less I want to see of Nia Jax. I don't know how else to put this. Her promo that night was soft at best, bad at worst. The match itself, you've said this to me off camera, off mic, why have this match 2 weeks before WrestleMania?
I just don't get what they're doing here from a business standpoint. Like I've never been a big fan of these type of matches in general, but if you want to give me a last man standing match, give it to me in more than 8 minutes, because putting a monster like Nia Jax down in 8 minutes it's questionable at best. And the way they're building Becky as kind of this world beater, and I don't care what anyone says, I don't believe she's walking out as champion. So if she's this world beater, puts every single woman in the entire company in their place, and Rhea comes out and beats her, what's next? What could you possibly do? I'll call it for scarps. Do you bring back Trish? Do you bring back someone that's like at the next level to kind of do that, to kind of let this simmer? Because the way that they kind of neutered the Elimination Chamber. So Becky wins the Elimination Chamber. She beats all those other women. She is ready to go to WrestleMania. And that's where, again, I want to see her to start feuding with Rhea. I'm like, let me build this anticipation. The last 2 weeks when Becky is out there beating Liv and beating Nia, you see Rhea at the last second and they stare down, or she gets laughed at, or whatever it is that's going to happen in those situations. I'm not getting the feud that I want to build to WrestleMania. Like, give me the feud. Like, have Rhea come out there and make her lose both those matches. And so you can say that, oh, she probably would have won those matches, but Rhea is still getting in her head. She's playing these mind games. And now we're building the anticipation. You're not burying people like Nia Jax. You're not burying people like Liv Morgan. I just don't know. Like, if Becky's gonna go out there and beat everybody, what is next for Rhea after this? Unless Rhea loses, which I just don't believe it. Like, she's been built as this monster. To have her lose to Becky just feels so off. I think Rhea is the best thing they have going right now. I want to see her be champion forever at this point in time. There is not a single person on this roster that I want to see take the title off of Rhea.
No, not at all. And I think I've been saying this. She is the best the best wrestler in the women's division in any company. And more than that, she's one of the best wrestlers in any company. Not women, not men, just wrestler. She is one of the best workers that they have on any show, on any brand, on any company. I will watch Rhea Ripley wherever she goes, including when she hopefully makes her jump to Hollywood as the new action star that she is so destined to be.
Mm-hmm.
I heard someone say this, and Showtime, I know you're a fan of both the star of this movie and this movie, but if they recast It Lives, the Roddy Piper movie, but with Rhea Ripley as the Roddy Piper role, I would watch that. I'm in.
I'd watch that too.
Like, I'd be in. Like, and I don't like remakes of movies. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to watch the remake of Roadhouse in a couple days when it comes out. I'm going to hate it, but I'm going to watch it.
Hard pass. Just call it something else. Street condominium. There you go. that works, right? Does that play? Just call it something else. Pretend like it's a different movie.
That sounds a whole lot like when we were trying to come up with new names for Samoa Joe when he went to NXT, because they were giving everyone new names, and I had come up with Tahiti Fred.
That was my way when they were trying to come out with Super Troopers 2. And I was like, why do we need Super Trooper 2? Just make them paramedics. Put them anywhere else and do a different movie. Yeah. Even though they came out Tacoma FD, which is actually fun. You should watch it.
I have watched Tacoma FD.
It's a good time. It's all right.
It's pretty good.
I do think. Do you know what? Do you know who I believe she could be? Maybe she could be Gunther, because I believe that probably more than Sammy. And
awesome.
What right? What I really actually do hope happens is that next week, Ricochet calls out Judgment Day and goes, "I'm already taking you guys all down. Who do you have that can actually beat me?" And I want to see Rhea come down and put him in his place. Not that I'm rooting against Ricochet, he's great, but I'm okay with burying Ricochet a little bit to put Rhea over like that, because I think they probably could put together a pretty good match, and it's believable that she'd win that match.
So, do we think that because Priest has to cash in that contract soon, he only has like 2 months left?
He does.
I think he's got to. I wouldn't be surprised if he cashes in at Mania or at Backlash, but I think it's got to be soon. And you would have to do it in a big way at this point, right? Because we're pretty sure that they're losing the tag team titles, or it seems like they'd be losing the tag team titles.
They're going to lose at least a tag team title.
And yeah, that's the thing, is they haven't said whether it's going to separate it or not, right? Like,
that's what our assumption is at this point in time, that you're going to have all of them hanging and titles are going to go to 2 different people.
Yeah. I still I'm not as excited for that match as I want to be.
Well, because that match is supposed to be the awesome truth versus Judgment Day. They
Yeah.
had done a fantastic. That was such a good storyline that they were building. That was arguably the second best storyline in all this compared to the Bloodline, and I was enjoying it more because R-Truth was in it. But that's not here nor there. The fact that that whole storyline has vanished. Like R-Truth is no
Oof.
longer feuding with the Judgment Day. They're feuding with 11 billion tag teams. At least like keep that portion of it and bring in other elements. This is just supposed to be a blow off to a great storyline. Give them the titles and let's move on. Let's have a little feud here and get out of it. Take the titles off and let him go out there. And I feel bad for Drew because he's probably if they cash it in, they give Priest the title. It's going to be at Drew's expense, right? Drew's going to beat Rollins, and then Priest is going to beat
Or
Drew.
is that how we get there? I mean, Drew earned the world title shot, right? So it's not against Rollins, it's just against whoever the world champion is. So what if that's how Cody loses the tag match? If Priest comes out, cashes in the briefcase, or he comes out and starts just kicking one of the guys in so that they get disqualified, and then beats Rollins with the briefcase quick, and then cashes in, wins the world title, goes on to night 2 to main event against McIntyre. It's very far fetched, and I think you lose some star power. But
I just don't see that happening because there's been zero build to Priest versus McIntyre. I absolutely love that being when he cashes it in. No, I can't believe you said that out loud. I never would have thought of that in a million years. The fact that like it almost felt like that tag match is like holy ground, and you don't mess with that kind of stuff. But now it's out there. They
now it's out there.
You
Now I
told
said
them.
it.
I haven't heard that speculation anywhere else. Do I think that's going to happen? I really don't. I think it's more likely that he beats McIntyre. Well, I actually, if I'm going to make a prediction right now, my prediction is that he doesn't cash it in at Mania. I think there's too many storylines floating around.
I think so too.
I think that maybe they do a countdown kind of thing where it's like, what are you going to do? When are you going to cash it in? It's not the right time. It's not the right time. And then he does it at like the 11th hour. And that's when you see the cash in. But man, with that, I'll pop for it. I really would. If he beats Rollins after the time, he gets rock bottomed and then Priest slides in and pins him again. That'd be quite epic.
I'm just saying. Listen, Uncle Hunter, if you need a writer or a backstage agent,
we're here.
We are available. We are here. I'm not so dedicated to this show where I will not field other options. I'm just saying.
Oh, I'm hurt and offended, but mostly hurt.
I'm trying to bring you with me. Shut up.
But I mean, Priest. Shoot him a text. Shoot him a message. Hey,
I might
Monster Factory days. I got this idea. Listen to the podcast. Wait till the end.
I was the first one to take that sit out chokeslam that he does ever. Just for the record. I hated it then. I hate it now. Not that. Not him doing it. I just hate taking it. We've been saying that I've been saying at least, and your counterpoint has been that it's all going to be in the tag team match. I just feel like there's not enough shenanigans in this WrestleMania. Like everything seems very straightforward. So unless we're getting 8 hours worth of shenanigans in a 15-minute match, because for the record, I don't think that match goes very long. I know we kind of want it to, but just even Cody saying it is what I've been saying. Rock hasn't wrestled in over 10 years. Roman is on a lighter schedule, and they're going to want to protect his health for night 2 no matter what. Cody is also going to be protected for night 2. Seth is the only one who, if he gets hurt, I think they're trying to get him off television for a little bit of time anyway, so it's not as hurtful. But I don't see that tag match going much longer than 15, 20 minutes at this point, and I'm giving it some time.
Yeah, I'll set the over-under at 20 minutes.
Yeah, I don't. If they go 30 minutes on that match, I don't know what they did, because they don't have 30 minutes of moves between 3 of them. And I think if they go 30 minutes, The Rock re-tears his abs. All around, though, I think I'm still very excited for WrestleMania. We keep saying that, but it's WrestleMania season. We all love WrestleMania. Even when we hate WrestleMania, we love WrestleMania.
Let me ask this question about the Money in the Bank. I'd say he does cash it in after the Rollins McIntyre match. What's the chances that McIntyre retains? If McIntyre beats Rollins, like, do you bury him like that?
So I think there is a good chance that McIntyre retains, only because of how the storyline has been going. And he's so hot right now that I could see it. It's obviously on the lower side of probability just because of how Money in the Bank has worked. I think out of however many years they've been doing Money in the Bank, I think there's only been 3 failed cash-ins. Believe it or not, one of them was Cena. But I think probability is on the side of the cash-in working. The only thing I could say about it is Priest cashes in, does the Rollins cash in where the match becomes a 3-way and McIntyre wins, possibly beating Priest.
That still buries him. Like, they just didn't do a good job at all setting him up to
building this. I think he was huge in the beginning of this build-up, or in the beginning of this, and then unfortunately they kept making the Judgment Day way too much of a almost like a comedy gimmick that's not a comedy gimmick.
I think I actually really like them as a staple, and I think that the Judgment Day, the tag team that they got going here, it could be a dominant force. Like, I kind of don't want them to take the tag team titles off of them. I feel like they have to lose them because there is 6 teams again in this match. That makes absolutely no sense. But I mean, I actually would much rather this tournament be among these 6 teams.
Yeah. The only juxtaposition I'd really like in that tag team ladder match at this point is I would like the other side of the Judgment Day to be in there. I would almost love for that, how you got Dom and JD in there, is they're one of the tag teams that also qualified, and now you have to do it that way. But again, I think a lot of the stuff going into Mania has us very excited. I think wrestling in general, I mean, just to run down some of the things that we talked about today, whenever you are listening to this show, Nick Namath challenging for multiple heavyweight titles. AEW, you've got a lot of big name talent showing up now between Mercedes Moné, Ospreay, looking forward to Danielson, Okada having his in-ring debut. On the WWE side, obviously WrestleMania. Man, wrestling is looking like wrestling. I think that's as good as a way of any to say, let's bring it home, boys. Mr. Showtime, Always a pleasure talking to you about wrestling, talking about anything. Until next time, fans, we'll have all the information and all of the links in our category underneath the show. Please continue to listen, like, follow. As I always say, listen, follow, love. Guys, let's have fun, make money. Let's get out of here.
Thanks, everyone.